Jake is in love with the Dabo girl. Vols are getting into everything, and you'll find us at level 7, section 5. Hey everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine's Season 2, Episode 17, called Playing God. It's directed by David Livingstone, who's done quite a bit of episodes so far. What'd you think of it, Cirroc? And how are you today, by the way?
I'm doing all right. I thought it was pretty good. Shout out to David Livingstone, one of the directors that I do know very well and have a good relationship with. David used to bring his son around every once in a while when he was filming and doing his director thing. And I would hang out with him because he was, about the same age as I was.
That's
so
cool.
We did get into a few little trouble making back in those days. And it was nice.
I'm shocked to hear that.
It was good to get to know David a little bit and his son as well. So I think he's a good guy. I think he's a very genuine guy. And he's really passionate when you see him work. He's really intense. He's really focused on his work. He actually, in a lot of ways, reminds me of Aron in the way he approaches his work style. Really meticulous, always going back and forth and seeing if he can do something different or better. So, those are the kinds of ways that I kind of equate to him.
Sounds like a great dude. So, and he directed so many episodes, at least in the first couple seasons here. Now, before we get fully into the episode, let's do another quick shout out. This one is to Brian Morrig Jr. of Phantom Battalion. What he did was he sent us this awesome thing. He crafted it.
Yeah.
Really
That's
cool.
Awesome.
So it's it's a pin. You can actually put it on your shirt or whatever.
Show us the back real quick. I think it's got Aron's name on it.
It says, it says Aron Eisenberg and his date of birth to date of death. And that's on the back. You put it on here. And this image that he used for this was one of Aron's most famous pictures or well-known pictures. I think he called it Loneliness or something like that. It's a really cool tree on top of a hill all by itself with a sunset right behind the tree. It looks really cool. For those of you listening in, just check him out on reallifepictures.com. You'll see all of his images there. You'll see the picture we're talking about. And make a purchase, by the way. Buy some of his really cool artwork. When Brian sent us this, he crafted these just all by, on his own, of his own volition. He had made a few of them and we saw them and said how cool it was. And he said, hey, give me your P.O. box and I'll make another one and send it to you. So really nice guy. It also came with this great little insert, and I'll read it out to everybody. It says, Captain Nog, memorable. Why can't I read today? I'm so sorry. Memorial piece de bijou. It's because I was jumping ahead to the French part.
I see. The bijou. What's that?
Bijou means jewelry in French, so I got too excited. I forgot to read the English part first. Pièce de bijou, commemorating his honor and gallantry, as well as his invaluable service to Starfleet, an unwavering commitment to the ideals and principles of the United Federation of Planets, formerly known as the Aron Eisenberg Goodfellow Testament. So now the Goodfellow Testament is formally known. It's not formally, formally. So really cool. We really appreciate it. Even came with the envelope.
That's pretty cool.
Put in a ton of attention to detail there, and we just want to give him a shout out for all of his work. And
now that comm badge, when you what is it made out of? Because it looks like it's wood or something.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like it's the kind of plastic that they use for like tabletop game figurines. If you know those kind of figurines in tabletop games, I don't know the exact kind of plastic that's called, but it's a specific plastic. Sometimes 3D models are made out of this. I don't know if this is a 3D model or if it was made out of a mold, but that's the kind of plastic it is. So it's a little, it's a little bendable. You can bend it. It doesn't break, really cool.
It's really cool. And that image I remember from at the funeral, that it was one of the things that was on the loop as we were having the ceremony.
Right. That picture. Yeah.
That picture. And I think it came with a caption on the side of it, one of Aaron's quotes when they were putting it up there. So, I mean, that's just really great detail and, a tribute to our Captain Nog.
Captain Nog forever. So, moving on into this cool episode, and the elephant in the room is that we get some really good Jake and Ben Sisko moments. And although the maybe the main character was Dax in this one, for sure, this was kind of a Dax-centric episode. The final decision and the moral dilemma, as usual, was put onto Commander Sisko's shoulders. And there was a really powerful scene between him and Jake Sisko. Jake is in love with the Dabo girl. What's up with that?
Yeah. This is it. This is Jake and the transition as he's losing his childhood and starting to go into adolescence and being a young man, which is crazy because as a father now that I'm going through watching my child grow up, and it's interesting to see how children grow up and the things that interest them. And yes, and as they start to become aware and self-aware and start to look at other people and take interest in girls or boys, it's a nightmare of an experience as a father, but it's great when you're the when you're the kid, right?
It's only going to get worse. Your daughter, Your daughter's what, like 10 or something?
Yeah, she's only 8 right now, so
you're not out of the woods yet, man.
No. She knows the words to songs that I'd rather not. But so that's just part of the growing up, though. These kids, they talk, they communicate, they're at school, and they share all these information and ideas. And it's just part of life. But I think that it was a special scene to see that kind of happen with me and my dad in this episode. You could see how genuinely excited Jake is to have discovered, finding somebody, a significant person to be with. So, it just reminded me of the kind of moments we used to have. There were a few looks that Sisko gives me, that Avery gives me in that scene. Sure. And I remember those looks quite vividly. Those were the, you better not be saying what I think you're saying.
You recognize those, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's safe to say, by the way, that we can all assume that you're now in love with an older woman, right? I mean, we can.
Yeah, well, she's not a girl.
I don't think they have 16. Yeah, they don't have 16-year-old Dabo girls, and you made it very clear she doesn't like to be called a girl.
Right. And then I go right off to "I love her, Dad," which is hilarious because it's like, what do I know about love? But I think it's pretty good because in the beginning you see Sisko's like, no, I'm not having this. Right? He's like, originally when he first hears this, he tries to shut it down. Then he realizes, okay, wait a minute. I have to play this differently. I can't approach this the way I really want to, which is, shut it down. No, you're not going to do this. I have to get to know about my kid and what she's going through, and what his heart is telling him, what his mind is telling him, what is he experiencing out here on the station. So he started to realize, okay, this is an opportunity to do some bonding, and as much as I hate to have to swallow this, I'm going to have to do this and tough it out.
Yeah, and he kind of made a change too. At first, he was kind of like, no, you're not, or what's going on, Right. But then once you told him who it was, and that, it was, or he guessed, he said, wait a second, it's Marta, isn't it? Right. And that's that you've apparently been tutoring her in entomology. And once that happens, he softens up, and then he actually wants to meet her and talk to her and do dinner, because I think it's because he thinks, oh, this isn't just some random thing where he saw some girl and he thinks he fell in love. It's a girl he's actually been spending quality time with. it's the quality of girl he probably thinks is higher than what he may have expected, because he's like, oh, this lady, she's not just a Dabo girl. She's a Dabo girl that's going to school, going to college. She's studying. She's trying to move up and do better things with herself or for herself. And so his attitude towards it shifts pretty quickly based on that, because suddenly it's something that he feels he can approve of rather than something that he should be stern about.
Yeah, and Jake's like right away, like, all right, tonight, what time?
Yeah, like, wait, so no, he's like, how about tonight? How about in 35 minutes?
Yeah.
She could be here in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Jake to Marta, it's all good, 7:00.
You can come out of my bedroom now. It's cool. He's cool with it.
She just crawls up from under the sofa. No, so, yeah, so I, it's a special moment. I mean, these are the moments that we all have as parents, and children alike. So we've both shared in these moments. I've had these moments growing up, and they captured it well in this particular episode, which is great for Sisko because, once again, like Aron used to say, he likes the dynamic of seeing Sisko, dealing with father issues. Mm-hmm. It brings out the more human side of him. It shows a different level of his character that has a sensitivity and something to lose or something to love. Right. So I think it's important. And this is one of those moments where we get that really kind of, father-son bonding type of moment.
For sure. There was one minor point too, just kind of that it reminded me of what I think I mentioned this to you before, but when Jake said, I'm tutoring her in entomology, I had to rewind and make sure you said entomology and not etymology, because I remember, and it was entomology, so that's the study of bugs, not the study of the origin of words. And the way I found out what etymology was originally was when I was a kid and watching Next Generation. Data says something like, curious, what is the etymology of that expression? And I remember asking my dad, what's entomology? And he's like, the study of bugs. And I'm like, I was like, maybe I said the word wrong. He's like, was it etymology? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, that's the study of origin of words. I was like, it was probably that one. That's probably
yeah, that fits better in this sentence that I just heard. Okay, so that was a data moment for you growing up.
Right.
Oh,
everything I know I learned from Star Trek and from cats and from basketball. That's really it.
It's funny that you said that, because one of the things that has kind of come up whoa, still alive, still here. We made it. My holder is not holding.
Wow. Are you holding?
So I'm holding, but I'm not holding. All right, let's see if it holds. No, the one questions that I always have, because when we watch these episodes, you're always like, yeah, there was a Bolian in that episode, or I saw an Andorian and I saw this. And it just made me think, like, how these aliens leave these lasting impressions on the fans, mm-hmm. right? And also how they reoccur. So they always, you'll always see one of these kinds of aliens in other shows and throughout, which keeps that consistency.
Case in point, the guy behind me is a Pac-Led, Pac-Led's, everybody knows, a very famous episode they were introduced in Next Generation. This was posted by a guy in a group on Facebook a couple weeks ago. He just happened to post this picture of Jake Sisko and a Pac-Led, which was an episode we covered like just 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So, you don't mind if I steal that? That's perfect. Anyway, go on.
No, but so it's just interesting to me how these kinds of things stick and how they embed themselves in our conscious, right? Mm-hmm. And that's all. Like you said with the etymology line, like there's a significant memory and moment attached just to that word, right? When you hear it, it right away brings you back to you and your father's conversation and asking me about. And I just feel like when we see these things, they kind of have those attachments to us. They have these signifiers about either where we were or what place we were in our life, what we were going through, emotionally. A lot of people, when they talk to Aron about watching his performances, right away they're attached emotionally to a time and place in their life that they were going through something. Right.
That's a good point. I'm hoping in the people in the comments below, everybody listening in, let us know a memory that you have where Star Trek either taught you something or triggered something, some curiosity within you to go and learn something, whether it was just triggering wanting to learn about engineering or science or word, because I'm sure there are a ton of stories like that and they're all pretty cool. There is one more thing I want to touch upon with that scene before we move on. And that was at the end of the scene. And I know we're talking about the middle of the episode first, but that's what we do around here. It was once Sisko is faced with the decision of, do I kill this galaxy, this growing galaxy, in order to save mine, or do I not? And then, the moral thing is to not kill it, but then suddenly your own galaxy is going to get killed. So it seems like a pretty obvious answer. And then Kira also chimes in pretty powerfully, but he says, give me an hour. And he goes home with this decision to make. And then that's when he has the scene with you, Cirroc. And you guys talk all about this. And then the way it ends is when you say, hey, well, how about tonight? Let's have dinner tonight. And then suddenly Commander Sisko's mood goes from like jovial and excited back to somber with the weight of the world on his shoulders. And he kind of says, tonight's not good. Maybe tomorrow. And that kind of, I think it also not only reminds him of what's at stake, but it helps him to make his decision, which is like, I'm never going to see my son's new girlfriend. I'm never going to see my son again. I'm not going to see him grow up. I'm not going to see any of this stuff unless I make this particular decision right now.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. And yes, that is, in the flow of the episode, that's what he does. He says, I need a break to think about this. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make a decision right here on the spot. And I think the line was, would I be different? He said, my mind goes back to the Borg. Would I be different if I destroyed another universe to preserve my own?
Right.
And he didn't, you could see that, number one, you can see the kind of impact that the Borg made on Sisko, right? Like, Here we are in the second season. We haven't had any Borg in any episodes, but yet his mind goes right back to the Borg because of Jennifer and my mom in the opening episode. Mm-hmm. So right there, it just says, boom, he's in this place where it's like life or death. The Borg, right? They come. It's just the end of your existence, basically.
Right, and they're completely indifferent, to other people's lives.
Right, and so he doesn't want to make that. He doesn't want to enter it with that kind of indifference, as you were just highlighting. He doesn't want to enter the thought without thinking about whatever it is, life forms that he could be, trampling on. It was funny because I think there was a line where Kira says, it's like stepping on ants. And Odo's like, I don't step on ants. And I just thought it was hilarious, him saying he doesn't step on ants.
Right. So we do have, we've got about 5 minutes before we take our first break. Let's talk about just this episode as a whole here. It was clearly kind of a Jadzia episode where we can kind of sink our teeth into her a little bit more, kind of see what kind of character they are creating out of her and how she has, a multitude of lives and there's just so much depth to her character that it makes really the possibilities endless,
Yeah, and I think what really is good about this particular episode is this character, Arjun. I think that's his name, right?
Arjun, yeah.
Arjun. Yeah, when Arjun pushes her and really challenges her, like I think he yells at her and he's like, something, you're not even worth it to that extent or something like that, right? No wonder Curzon terminated your training. You're so far below the standards as you are, is what he said. But he really just like, he raises his voice. He's really has a high temper, And I think it was that kind of activated Dax, right? Because everything was going smooth up until then. Okay, yeah, you need to do this and go touch that button over there and bring me one of these things over here. And it was going all right, and he was being real cordial and like, yeah, I need to do this in order for my training to be complete. But then when he snapped, that's when we started getting into the meat of the episode. That's when Dax started to analyze her own experience with, having this host, the symbiont, come inside of her, and what it meant to her to have to be humiliated by Curzon, essentially, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
In order to win his approval. So I think that's what we really got, and we got an insight onto how Dax is and why she is how she is. So I think that was really good at setting up for us as the audience. Okay, so there's like an inner conflict going on with her, right? She kind of doesn't like Curzon.
Even though outwardly she's supposed to be this cool cucumber, like when they say, everybody's freaking out about the Vols on the ship, and she's like, "Oh, Vols, I can take care of those," and she just kind of grabs a phaser. We also, one thing I want to touch on before we hit the break is really quickly, it opens up with her playing Tongo with the boys, with the Ferengi, and it's not only does it give us depth into her character that, she's one of the boys, she's one of the cool people, she just likes to embrace other people's cultures and other races, and win. But on top of that, we also get to see a little bit more depth into the Ferengi themselves, because we get to see more about Tongo, the famous Tongo game. And when she's going to leave, and Quark says, "You can't leave now, you're winning." They need to get their money back. And then she walks off and he goes, "Female," So things like that, really, I love to see that because it gives us depth on her as a character. It gives us backstory on, just the Ferengi culture and the Tongo game, which tells us more about them.
Yeah, and it's funny because it actually is consistent with what we've been seeing so far. So throughout the series, we've been watching Bashir really be inappropriate, right? And how he's making advances towards her. Consistently. Where she would have a very good claim for sexual harassment if she was in today's legal sense. But but I only say that because here she is now playing with the Ferengi, and they're calling her, you woman, and this and that. And
they're the worst of the worst.
Yeah, they're the worst of the worst. And it doesn't faze her, right? It doesn't faze her, which is consistent with what we've seen her in the past. She's like, "Oh, so Bashir, stop it," It doesn't faze her with the way it phases us watching it, and say, "Oh,
yeah." When we watch it, we're like, "Oh boy, here we go again."
Right. It's like, this is brutal, but she's totally cool with it, and once again, it's like I said, it's consistent with who she is. She's really like she allows other people to kind of be themselves and doesn't really try to mold them or steer them to be somebody that she would be like, like better.
Right. That's a good point. She just kind of lets people be themselves and doesn't really let it affect her too much because she's lived so many lives. She just kind of like, I've seen it all. You can't surprise more kid.
Right. So, I mean, point. Yeah. So, I mean, what better than having the experience of being an old man to know, okay, this is what guys do. Or
even a few old men.
Right. So she would understand more than anybody, that's just guys being guys.
We got to run to a quick break. The 3 trivioids we hit were Jake is in love with a Dabo girl. We covered that. Vols are getting into everything. We'll kind of covered that. And you'll find us at level 7, section 5, where in the opening scene, Bashir explains that's the computer's way of saying that Dax is in Quark's bar. Because when he says, "Where's Dax?" Level 7, section 5. That's Quark's bar.
Quark's bar.
Are going to come right back with the 7th rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the 7th rule with Cirroc Lofton. I'm Ryan T. Husk. We are reviewing season 2, episode 17 of Deep Space Nine, called Playing God. And very quickly, the trivioids that we said no to. Julian gives O'Brien a flute. I thought that was funny, but I do want to kind of talk about that for a second later.
Yeah.
The Packleads lead off the show. Very first thing you see is two Packleads walking out of the space dock.
Mm-hmm.
Dax and Sisko play chess. I thought that was really cool. I liked watching that. Love chess. Sisko says, "No more Mr. Nice Guy," which I thought was a fun line when he was getting a little frustrated. And Curzon has a dark sense of humor.
Well, I will say, I want to get into everything you said. You didn't mention the Klingon, which was like another little special nugget that was in this episode.
Right.
Even though it wasn't packed with like a bunch of action and the story wasn't that deep, there were a lot of little nuggets like this Klingon playing the accordion, which is, one of our favorites. We liked him earlier when we saw him grabbing food with his hands and putting it on the plates in an earlier episode. So we do enjoy the Klingon restaurant. I guess he got bad reviews and got shut down after this episode.
Yeah, and a shout out to that actor. I can't remember his name, but as we know, he did pass away a while back. Otherwise, I'll just bet they would have used him in a bunch more episodes. Because, I mean, if they used him twice in the second season, I can't imagine that's it. They just would have never used him again.
Yeah, he's really funny. He has a sense of comic relief.
Great singing.
He's great. I don't know about great singing, but it's good singing, and he's believable at his character. Like, I believed him as that guy, as the Klingon restaurant owner. So kudos to him and his performance and what he contributed to the show. But I also want to get into the rule of acquisition that I guess you missed.
I did, and I'm pissed.
And that's rule of acquisition number 112. Never have sex with the boss's sister.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
So I had to write that in because that is a very good rule to follow for those of you.
Yeah, that one. Well, because he was saying that he was an assistant to the district sub-negus.
Right.
And then he humped that guy's sister, and now he's a lowly bartender. Forever.
Yeah, that was his funny little sob story. But yeah, so I would add wife to that, not just sister, but wife. So, or significant
girlfriend,
spouse, whatever you wanted to add to that. But I also like the line where Odo says to Kira, "I don't step on ants, Major."
Yeah, good impression. I liked it.
And it was just really, it just came out of nowhere.
And then he says, just because we can step on a life form doesn't make it right to destroy it. It's like,
right.
I agree.
And there's we could just go down nugget after nugget in this episode, just lines that were popped out, in my opinion. The other one was, my mind goes back to the Borg. Sisko says, my mind keeps going back to the Borg and how they're the destroyers, right? And he didn't want to destroy this universe. But I think this is the first mention of his mind going to the Borg, which obviously is the cause of his wife's demise, right? So he brings that up and gives us a little taste of how the Borg has etched itself into his brain, right? I like that little tidbit. It was a good nugget for me.
It helps to remind us where he's coming from. I mean, just because we're in season 2 doesn't mean that he's completely forgotten about his wife. He's completely forgotten about the Borg. That's going to be there forever.
Yeah, and I think that there are certain aspects of this episode. We talked about it earlier with Dax and how this is kind of an unfolding about who Dax is and how she came to be, what Curzon means, and his personality. And it gives us a little bit of insight on Dax. More insight, I think, than we've had before, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, yeah. At least as far as the trills and the symbionts and the initiation process, for sure.
And I would have liked that this episode, at least that explanation part of the episode, happened earlier, so that we know it would have lent a little credence to how Dax was playing the character this whole time. So I've been watching her play the character, and I wish that certain things were different. But if I had this little bit of kind of explanation on maybe why she's conflicted, it would give me a better understanding on the performance itself, what she's having to process when she performs that character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down schizophrenia because essentially she has multiple personalities, right?
Right.
And she's fighting them to see which one is going to be the dominant. And some things come out at different times, and some other things come in at different times. For example, when she got tough on this recruit, Curzon, and his toughness came out, right?
Yeah.
To a degree. And so I felt like that was, it's almost like schizophrenia. So I wish they had gotten more into that, because it kind of informs me about why she's playing it, why she's having difficulty expressing herself clearly and saying, hey, I'm John Zia Dax. And there is an internal conflict there. Right?
Yeah, but it seems like it's more of like useful schizophrenia, almost like where she can pull from these past personalities and past memories rather than these personalities are dominating her. I mean, that'd be a pretty cool tool, is if you could say, all right, I got a negotiation, I got to pull the good negotiator personality, or oh great, I'm going to a buddy's house that has like 5 kids. Let me pull the personality that actually likes kids, or whatever, is good with kids.
Yeah. I just say that because it just informs me a little bit about what she's processing when she's trying to develop this character. I think in the documentary she said that she asked Avery to go easy on her. I'm paraphrasing.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but something to that degree. And so I can see why she's saying that, because she's saying it's hard for me to have to balance, I'm a man trapped in this woman's body and these characters are inside of me, and how do I play it, Mm-hmm. So I think that this episode really gives me a little bit of insight on that and allows me to accept her more for how she's doing it, if that makes any sense.
But correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to veer too much off the subject, but correct me if I'm wrong. Avery is a little bit less of the kind of person that would go easy on somebody and go down to their level, and more the kind of person that would lift them up to his level,
Maybe not. I can't necessarily agree with that. I will say that when you're performing with another actor, especially one of his capabilities, he can turn it all the way on and really make you look small or diminish your performance, and you look less competent. But he can also turn it down a little bit, right?
Meet you halfway a little bit.
Yeah, right. It's like it's like a pitcher. He can give you the 110-mile-an-hour fastball if he wants to, or he can give you a nice 75 one down the middle and let you get a chance to swing in the bat. And
for those of you in Europe, that was a baseball reference.
Yes, a baseball reference. So I can do cricket too, but I'm going to stick with my baseball one. But essentially he has the ability to turn it on and off and turn it up onto different levels. So yeah, asking Avery to go easy on you is something.
Ask,
it's a legitimate request. Yeah, it's a legitimate request. Whether it happened or not, I can't say. But asking that is a legitimate request if you feel like you're outgunned and outmatched, especially. Yeah. I mean, it's intimidating,
Yeah, no, I get you.
Working with really good actors. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of very good actors, and you have to be prepared. And you have to be not afraid to take whatever is going to come at you,
Right.
So, but I
was just going to say, let's start going down through the whole episode.
Yeah.
So that let's see if we can kind of cover everything, because there was just so much there's just a lot of good stuff here. Again, nothing terribly exciting, but all very interesting and entertaining. I liked it all.
Yeah, there was the opening scene was the station, a close up on the station, and I hadn't seen visual effects of a close up on DS9 before, and I think this is the first time. Usually, it's from a little bit farther of a distance, and this was like a really close up of the actual pillars, one of the pillars that make up the ring, and I like the visual effects. I wrote it down in my notes. I thought, oh, that's cool. That's a nice graphic.
Yeah, I liked it. Couple seconds. Let me ask you this. I forgot at the very beginning, who is the character that is walking out of the space dock with Arjun, the Trill guy? Is it Bashir or is it Chief?
It is Bashir.
Oh, it is Bashir. Okay.
Yeah, because he actually said something which I which I had to write down. I said Bashir just had to sneak one in because he actually snuck one in, like one of his little Bashir moments.
Oh yeah.
And when he's introducing Arjun, when he's introducing Arjun to Dax, he says, "Yeah, I've been telling him all about you," and then he goes on and says, "Well, not everything about you," or something.
That's right. That's our Julian.
Yeah,
that's our Julian.
And she gives him a look like, but it's just like it's an awkward moment, another awkward moment. I was like, wow, he just racked up another awkward moment. Not everything about you,
Well, so, he can't go one episode without reminding us,
right,
who he is and what he's all about.
So and it's also like he was kind of claiming her secretly in front of everybody,
right?
As if they were together, if they had this intimacy. But it's kind of funny. The other thing I wrote down was when O'Brien, the butt scene with the two butts sticking up in the air with Kira and O'Brien kind of both digging into, and it was just a funny little 3 seconds of, I want to introduce you to Major Kira and our Chief O'Brien, and their butts are just sticking
and their
up
buns, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Looking for Vols. By the way, quick trivia, and I bet you know the answer. What college team has a nickname of the Vols?
Oh,
I think
Tennessee.
Yep, nailed it, because they're the Volunteers. I think their colors are like orange or something.
Yes, and the women's basketball team is more known than it is, in my opinion.
I think they're called like the Lady Vols or something.
The Lady Vols, yeah, but it's Tennessee.
I don't watch college. Yeah, correct.
They wear the orange and white.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, Pat Summitt, if I'm not mistaken, was head coach of there for a while.
Boy, now you're just showing off.
Hey,
Pat Summitt was like the top of the top,
Yeah, one of the greatest coaches of all time.
So sorry for taking us off course again, but what
you mentioned earlier about two things. One is the 2D chessboard, when they were playing chess in Sisko's office, and I liked that. It was kind of like we usually see the 3D chess,
right? I have one of those, by the way. It's fun.
Now, does that actually have a rules?
Yes.
It comes with rules. Okay. I am not aware of how the rules go. I just remember how they instructed me to move the pieces when we were filming the scenes. Say, hey, Cirroc, take this piece and put it from here to there. I didn't actually know how to play.
Was it like a director or like a 3D chess consultant?
Yeah, it was somebody they flew in from Singapore. No, I think it was the prop guys. Usually it was the prop guys telling me how to do it. And but the 2D chess, I actually have a personal affinity for chess. And,
me too.
And, playing the game of chess. So I enjoyed watching Sisko playing chess with Jadzia. But also, we talked about the Pied Piper.
Yeah, they didn't mention it by name, but that was an interesting scene because Dax comes in who was it? Chief comes in and gives it to Dax and says, hey, this is from Julian. But then, of course, I wondered, well, why didn't Julian just give it to her? Was he off that? Like,
what was the idea to play the flute and just like lead all the rats out of the?
That was the joke. Yeah, he said the joke was, hey, this worked in whatever Hamlet or something like that. This worked in Hamlet, and that's the whole joke. But what I don't understand is, why didn't Bashir just hand it to her himself? Why did they need a middleman?
Yeah, I also wrote another thing, something that I didn't understand in this particular episode, and that was when they were flying through the wormhole and having to avoid those, I don't know, giant neutrinos or whatever they were. I didn't understand what those things were doing in the wormhole and how we haven't encountered them before. Maybe you have an explanation or something. I would be interested.
I do. I was in a similar position to you when I watched it, and I figured out immediately what the answer is. The answer is that if anybody does know the answer, to go ahead and comment below, because we have no idea what we're talking about here. Please tell us, you science out there, people like Meredith Michael and Mohammed Noor, our science people, or Michael Nguyen, like, let us know in the comments below. Tell us, well, what are we looking at here? I was just like, all right, just focus on the dialogue. This is just kind of like the plot device of what we need to get this guy.
Yeah, but I was trying to understand, like, what is that, and what is it in the wormhole? Why is it there? How come it's never been? And
how is it saving that other universe?
Yeah, exactly. How's it saving the other universe? And if it's always been there, why hasn't it been difficult to navigate through before?
I guess maybe text Ira and be like, do you remember this episode? What was going on there? And he'll be like, I didn't write it. Not my problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You'll have
to check with me at the end of season 2.
Yeah. He always he'll put it off on somebody that I couldn't possibly cross-examine. So, yeah, you have to ask Michael Pillar. But, all right, I guess I won't get the answer.
Let's see. The writers were Rick Berman and Michael Pillar, of course. Jim Trombetta and Michael Pillar did the teleplay. The story, okay, so basically the whole idea came from Jim Trombetta.
Okay.
Jim Trombetta. I haven't heard his name.
I haven't heard his name. It's first I'm hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did also like one interesting little tidbit. There is a fellow named Gul Evek. And Gul Evek is the Cardassian guy that seems to pop up all the time. He's not the big notorious baddie like Gul Dukat, but he is in so many episodes here and there. They called him, what was it Chief said that was so cool? He said in the interest of like good relations, he called the Cardassian guy, said, hey, how do you get rid of these vols in the interest of good relations? And he made some snide comment. I don't remember what it was. And then says, hey, but their mating season starts in 6 weeks. So, good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
But this Gul Evek character, I'm looking him up on IMDb because
now you said he's played that same character over again, or
many times. Yeah. So he was Gul Evek in the Caretaker episode of Star Trek Voyager. That's the pilot. He was Gul Evek in 3 episodes of Deep Space Nine. That's Playing God. The Maquis Part 1. Maquis is super good stuff, and we're coming up on it in a few weeks. And Tribunal, which is also later on in the 2nd season, I believe. And he also played still Gul Evek in 2 episodes of Star Trek Next Generation. One is Journey's End, again in 1994. These are all in 94, all the Deep Space Nine and Next Generation episodes. And the Voyager one is 95. And Preemptive Strike, which is a really good one. If I remember correctly, I believe that was an Ensign Rowe episode. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was one with Ensign Rowe, who was a character that they modeled the Kira character off of, this Bajoran lady played by Michelle Forbes. Anyway, so I was happy to see Gul Evek again.
Gul Evek. How do you spell that?
Gull, like Gul Dukat.
Yeah,
Well,
but the Yvette part.
Evek.
Okay. Gull Yvette. Well, shout out to Gull Yvette. What about the guy? What about this guy who played Argon? He's funny because he reminded me of Will Wheaton, Argent.
Yeah,
he actually reminded me of Will Wheaton.
Oh, really? Yeah, I could see that. You know, there's some nerds right now that are reminding you that argon is actually an element or a.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's just the way I
Come on.
correctly. Argent.
Yeah. So how did he remind you of Wesley Crusher?
I don't know. There was something about his demeanor when he was kind of the softer version of himself. Reminded me of Arkin. I mean, of Will Wheaton's character.
I just confirmed it. Preemptive Strike is about Rolaren infiltrating the Maquis and then getting stuck between her loyalties. Anyway, yeah. What did you think of Arjun overall, though?
I wasn't really blown away, really, by his performance. I mean, I wasn't blown away. I
think maybe because I thought about that too, especially towards the end. I think, you know, we're talking about how, you know, you act with each other, what it's like. And sometimes, most of the time, how you act towards your scene partner really affects how they act back towards you. You know what I mean? Like if they're practicing their lines like this, and then you come at them and you're kind of yelling your lines up here, if they still say their lines down here like they're planning, suddenly there's some disconnect, you know, so they have to meet you up there, or they bring it, you know, there's all this listening and there's this give and play. And I think that this guy maybe was influenced by Terry's portrayal of Jadzia being this.
Yeah, he was trying to match her energy and her the way she kind of formulates and phrases her sentences and kind of the calm and stillness of it, which I thought brought the pace down in some scenes.
Exactly. That was exactly my thought. And I especially noticed it in the end scenes when they're in the climax and this is the big moment.
And the intensity level was very low.
It was life and death. It was they were going to die. And they were talking like, you know, how many saltines are left? 4. Oh, okay. Well, I was hoping to have 2. Do you want to have 2 of them and I'll have 2?
Yeah.
Do we have any cheese left? Yeah.
Do you take cream in your coffee, Brian? Or would you like it with, it was like that casual.
I know, yeah.
And I even wrote that part down too. I think she says, you know, I'm a level 3 pilot and you're a level 5 and I could do it without you, but you know, and it was just like the worst pitch I've ever seen in a life or death critical moment. I didn't feel the intensity of it at all. He's like, all right, fine, I might as well. You know, I got 2 meters, and I also wrote down that they still use meters as the form of measurement in
Star Trek. They do, yeah.
In Star Trek, right? So they've said you only have a 2-meter clearance on each side or something to that effect.
Now, conversely, imagine if it was, say, for example, like Kira and Dukat having this conversation. It would be like up here. They'd be at each other's throats. There'd be subtext, you know. It'd be, but with this one, it was just much more subdued. And I do think it's because that's Dax's character, and so I think that this guy was kind of playing it off of her.
I think he was, but what I would have liked to see in that particular moment, and not to be overly critical of the actor, but earlier in that same episode, he went into rage mode where he was really tough with Dax. Right?
You're right. It tapped into that.
Right, and it showed me that he is capable of expressing a high intensity level of emotion. Right, and you would think that would be triggered in an emergency life or death moment, so he would be instantly activated to that same level of intensity when he basically told her, so far you're below the standards, you know, no wonder Curzon terminated your training. He said something to that effect. It was really hurtful and just abrasive and loud about it. But and I felt like he could have, even though now he's on her team and they've made up and, you know, she's looking out for him, I still felt like he could have challenged her with that same level of like we could die. This could be a life. We could die right now. So I don't know if I'm going to do this.
Yeah, that scene needed more urgency. I mean, exactly. I just, well, whatever. Some things are great, some things aren't. I feel like I think we both noticed that scene needed more urgency, and I felt like it was pretty obvious. Like it really kind of stood out. Like I kind of just stopped and was like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
These guys are in a life and death. Like I forgot. I was like, wait, these guys are in a life and death situation, right? The way they're talking and the way the music's all calm, like it makes you forget that they're saving their lives. They're saving.
Yeah.
All these things are happening.
Right. So it looks like they're just going through a stroll, taking a stroll down the purple bubble planet area thing. So I totally agree with your assessment of that. I don't want to say that made it so bad that I thought the episode as a whole was just garbage. I still like the episode. Just there were so slower scenes like what we're talking about, which I thought could have easily been raised up energy level wise and would have played better to the scene, right?
Mm-hmm. We only have a minute or two left, so let's also touch upon a couple things that I thought were really good for Dax at the end. When we kind of get deeper into her character and we hear the story about how Curzon was the reason that she failed her initiation process. And then she came back and she redid it. And then when he was dying, she requested the Dax symbiont. And the guy's like, well, why do you think he gave it to you? And she says, well, knowing his dark sense of humor, I have a feeling the irony might have appealed to him. And that was like a really cool thing where the guy, old Curzon's like, yeah, sounds like a fun thing to do. You old worm inside of me, I'm going to put you into that girl, the girl that I rejected.
Yeah. The other moment that I think was significant for Dax's character was when she was sitting at the table with all the Ferengi and playing gambling.
That was the best part, and we kind of skipped over that.
Yeah, I like that.
And it also gave us more of Tongo. It gave us more, and anything that gives us more depth into the cultures of these different races. And Quark says, "You can't quit now. You just won." Like we got to be able to win our money back. And he goes, "Female."
Yeah. And the other time he says, "Don't play with my ears unless you're serious about it." That was another cool little line.
And the final line was Jadzia after the guy walks away and flies off into the abyss of space, the emptiness, I should say. She closes with, "I'm not Curzon." It was a nice, poignant moment.
Yeah, and it matched well with an earlier moment in which he expressed, "I am Dax." And she kind of said that earlier when she was explaining herself. "I'm not Curzon, I am Dax."
Right.
So she closed it with that. So overall, I would say that 6.5, 7 is a fair in that zone. Is a fair.
And that's what they got, a 6.5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair.
So we're going to now jump into the free-for-all. We can finish the conversation in the free-for-all. I do want to we want to point out our associate producers, Immo Radtke, Rex Wood, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Kat R. King, Yvette Blackmon for making all of this possible and for being radical people all around the globe. And stay tuned for the free-for-all. We'll be right back on the 7th Rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule free-for-all. We are joined by Marie Segal, Heather Jordan, Rex A. Wood, Commander Homer Frizzell, Kat R. King. As usual, we have Cirroc Lofton. Where are you calling in from? Omaha, Nebraska, I think you said, Rex?
Yes, Omaha, Nebraska.
How's the weather over there?
It's cold. It's 4 degrees.
4 degrees. So,
and
wow.
And I was in Minnesota on Monday, and it was 47 below wind chill.
What?
Wow.
Oh, I remember those days.
What brings you to Omaha, Nebraska, Huskers territory?
My wonderful job brings me here. Yeah. So,
okay then.
There you are.
I'm in fight, so I feel better.
Look, me and Homer have the same backdrop.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Bad internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are, Homer. Look at us.
That's amazing.
Yours looks better.
I got twinsies.
Looks like a gremlin on like roids.
Oh man, that is disgusting. I can't believe that. I wouldn't hold it without gloves and like a whole protective suit.
Yeah. Who knows what Sergeant needs?
Homer's got
It's
the
like a mini little werewolf.
It looks like that's where they got the coronavirus from.
Now we know.
Now we know.
RJ with patient 0.
Confirmed.
But you guys
know,
but you guys know that if you get Lyme disease with that, then you get you actually get corona.
No, just stop.
Don't do that.
Corona with Lyme.
You're gonna tell people if they had chicken pox, the shingles virus is now the already inside you.
Wait, that's the best one yet.
That was the best. Like that was the best.
Don't encourage him.
Scare campaign ever.
I love it.
Oh, wow.
Well, next to Ebola.
The coronavirus with Lyme.
Coronavirus.
Oh,
that's high school in Corona. Let me tell you about
terrible.
Corona.
That thing looks like a hybrid between a cat and a mouse to me, honestly, or a cat and a rat.
The conspiracy theory is that the Chinese launched it against their own people accidentally.
No, you know what it actually looks like? It looks like a mini Valcor.
It does.
Yeah, never-ending story.
Yes, never-ending story.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Like 10 years later, where is he now, Falcor? Like, you know, like...
Yeah, like it hasn't grown its hair yet.
Overpass, living in a tent.
Yeah, the evil Falcor. That's exactly right.
Oh, Falcor.
No, like, broke his ass, like, Falcor in L.A. Falcor.
Or he got really old and just, like, all of his hair fell out. Now he's just not fluffy anymore.
He's, like, jaded, disillusioned.
Yeah, smoking a cigarette. When I was young.
That guy who was in that thing, you know.
So we do have a question prepared by our new associate producer, Miss Marie Segal, who's a doctor.
Yay!
Oh, who is a doctor? She is.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us your...
You tell it.
I don't remember it.
Like, no.
Oh, okay. So... if you were to get to sing a karaoke song with somebody who works in like a food service establishment on Star Trek, who would you sing karaoke with? Who would you sing karaoke with, and what would you?
Oh my goodness!
Didn't you narrow it down to just
what song?
Who do you
I
want to
won't
sing
pick anybody
karaoke
like
with?
we already get to see at karaoke like every year in Vegas.
Okay, who on Star Trek would you sing karaoke with?
Okay, anybody on Star Trek. Anybody on Star Trek. Like, come on, anybody.
And who do you want to start with, Marie?
Heather, duh.
Oh, what a
it's tradition.
I like somehow knew that she was going to say that.
Heather has her answer prepared.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
As always.
Okay, wait. Okay,
sorry. Sending
we'll go to Heather
in
last.
advance. Just text me so I can be prepared.
Okay, we'll go to Heather last. We'll go to Cirroc first.
No, she's got an answer. She's ready.
I do have a half answer. Okay, so I don't have the song
what else
picked
is
out.
New?
I can't pick a song like just off the top of my head, like last minute. But I think 7 of 9.
Good one.
Because I think that she's got like that secret singing voice from
those organ vocal cords.
Yeah, but also I think she'd be incredibly awkward. So I think like that would be just kind of like interesting to see.
Unless she's at some French resistance cell.
Oh, that's true. From the Hollow Suite.
Yeah, then she's not as awkward.
Obviously, right?
Then
I'm curious about.
I definitely want to meet Jerry
I know
Ryan.
what you're talking
That's
about.
the whole reason.
Okay, that's a great answer.
Great answer. Good work. Who's next, Marie?
You are. You always go last, so time to turn the table.
I didn't prepare an answer. Let me think. Okay.
Absolute candor.
Ooh, my new favorite movement.
There it is.
Okay.
That's a little, what is it
Let
called?
me
Spoiler?
think.
Spoiler alert.
I would do karaoke with Data and Riker because I've seen Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner together, just the two of them on stage at Star Trek Las Vegas and in another convention in Sacramento one time. And they're so good together because they're like very active and they sing and they give each other notes to sing and they have all this fun. So that way I could just kind of like sit in the background and just be like, you know, I could be like the girl. I could be like the girl that goes like, you know, bang, bang, bang on the door. And they
that was
doing all
so
the good
fantastic.
stuff.
Wait,
I
so
remember
that's the song
that.
you're gonna sing?
Or I'd be like, tequila, you know.
Yes.
I think that's the only word in that song.
It is.
It is.
You're gonna sing that. Okay.
All right.
There's actually an X Factor audition where a guy did the tequila song, but it was hilarious because he was like, tequila. It was very funny.
I saw that.
You did? Yeah.
I did. I'm interested in what Homer's answer is.
Oh,
Yes, me too.
Homer, you're up next.
So what came to mind is one that could happen. I think it would be fun. And it would be, first off, the song is Jackson. And I would want to sing it with Chase Masterson.
What song is Jackson?
Jackson is a Johnny Cash song.
Ooh.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was thinking of I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson.
I was too.
Sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real.
Okay, they get a medley.
It's a country song.
They're gonna do a medley of Jackson songs. Okay.
Okay.
I'll post it to the site later.
Yeah, post it in the group.
Yeah.
Kat King's embarrassed by your answer for some reason.
Is that true?
I have
Kat?
the thing is like I have so many. So like just the first one that came to my mind was like, can we just get the entire cast of Voyager on the stage just sing the theme song? That'd be great. And then if as a serious response to this, I would love to have Kate on stage singing Peggy Lee's Black Coffee. That'd be terrific.
Oh.
We just do it. Kate, let's do it.
What's that?
Oh, Peggy
You'll
Lee.
have to post
you don't
that
know
too.
Peggy Lee's Black Coffee?
Mm.
Oh, it's a classic
Yep.
jazz song. You know, it's all about being lonely and pacing the floor, being lonely and being miserable and all alone and smoking cigarettes and, you know, and being
That is
missing
the
her
perfect
man. And so it's like
song
a
for
perfect
her.
song for Janeway, right?
Wow. Goodness of
Wow.
it.
These are songs that I never thought I'd be hearing.
I'll play it for you sometime. Yeah, I'll play it.
All right.
All right,
I
Cirroc,
might get
you're
to
next.
sing it sometime for you.
Maybe
I'm
Vegas,
next.
maybe STLV.
I would sing karaoke with the Klingon that owns a restaurant on the promenade.
Good answer.
Are you gonna go with Klingon opera or
Ooh.
something else?
Yeah, what
We're gonna sing Michael Jackson, "Man in the Mirror."
Oh,
That is
nice.
so good.
That's the best one.
Yeah, the two of us. He might have his accordion, maybe not. It's a 50-50 thing.
Amazing.
That's
Yeah,
You know a song I really love, like old school, is Masquerade by the Carpenters.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm.
Yeah. Like I used
No.
to jam to that. No.
Homer says no.
No, I don't know it. You could post
Don't
that
know
to the
it,
group.
don't know.
It's awesome. It's a really like soulful, sad song, but it's like that is the Carpenters. I'm looking for if you're familiar with Carpenters at all, Homer.
Very
but
much.
like
I am. Just not that song by
Me
title.
too. I know a
but
lot
I
of
had
their
their whole.
Yeah, I saw their infomercial.
Yeah,
I had the CD, and I
you
would
beat
just
me.
sing
You got me.
along with that song, and then there was the.
I'm more of a superstar guy by the Carpenters, personally. I think Homer is too.
I also like the one, but I can't remember the name, where she's like, all the girls are thinking about you. It's a big one. Now I can't remember.
Yeah. Anne Marie's not impressed.
No, she's
not
so far,
impressed by
Cirroc's
the
winning.
Carpenters.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
Rex.
you.
Rex is a very
Oh gosh.
good
The
opponent.
only
though.
thing I could come up was singing with Neelix
Oh, I
and
like that.
doing the song by Gary Newman, Short People, because of
I
how
love
short
that.
he was. Okay. That's the only thing I could really come up with. I mean, I do something with Patrick Stewart too, but I was trying to think of what song to do with him, and I couldn't come up with a real good one. But
I
yeah,
can tell you-
Just have him sing his little flute or
Country
lute
song.
thing.
No, his
Patrick
country song
Stewart.
album.
Sir Patrick
Oh yeah,
actually,
yeah.
Sir
Have him
Patrick
do the
actually
country
likes
road song.
Naughty by Nature. Everything's going to be all right. That's his song.
there we go.
Are you down with
Okay.
OPP?
Yeah, you know me.
There you go.
Snake Leaf,
Yeah,
you know,
down with
Snake
OPP.
Leaf.
You down with JLP?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You down with the S
Exactly.
Leaf, brother?
You down with JL? Or
Yeah, you know
You down
me.
with JL? Oh my god, that was like Scooby Doo. I was like watching that moment going, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
Amazing answer, Rex.
What about you,
that
Avery?
song was Close to You. That was the one I was thinking of, Close to You.
Oh, okay.
Close to
famous,
you.
beautiful song. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm gonna choose The Day That Data's a Bartender, so that he's like fun and working in 10 forward, and we're gonna sing A Puzzlement from King and I because I'm trying to get him into the Orville.
Yes,
A puzzlement.
But I don't want him to be like offended by Isaac.
I
feel
know,
like
you're gonna piss everybody off though. Like everyone's gonna get all mad because he's gonna do it full out, with the Yorkshire accent and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to get Brett Spiner into the Orville. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yep.
Oh yes.
Okay. All right. So missions to accomplish, Ryan. Write it down. We have to get Kate Mulgrew to sing a duet with Kat.
To sing the Black Coffee Billiards song or whatever it was.
I'm on the phone with Lisa.
Peggy's
song.
Today. There you go.
Now, what we have to do
Challenge
is
accepted.
group karaoke. That's what we have to do.
Love karaoke.
We need to get Gates and Marina to do karaoke with us in their little stretchy outfits.
The stretchy outfits that won't go away.
Oh gosh, me and Kat are serious. We've
already shopped it. Like I've already bought it. It's already in the mail. Like it's coming.
Yeah, but you guys want to wear those things without the actual like leotard stuff.
No,
we're doing it.
That's STLV after hours.
Yeah.
A leotard over a unitard.
Yeah, it is. Leotard over a unitard. Like that's it. Like we Googled.
It's happening. It's not an if. It's a when.
So I got the messages. I got the receipts.
Oh wow!
I've already tagged Gates and Marina. They know we're coming, so it's not like it's going to be.
They know to have extra security.
They'll be ready to go. Ready.
And Homer and
I thought he's holding the bowl.
Marina is a terrific sport. Like,
and me and Cirroc and I are going to be Miles and O'Brien.
Yeah, Bashir.
That's it.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought I heard Ryan.
Bashir, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the khaki shorts and regular shirt.
Khakis.
No,
I really thought it was Homer and Ryan.
It's a comfortable outfit.
No.
I got to check my notes about that.
I think the nightmare is true. Actually.
Yeah, it is Homer and Ryan. I remember.
That's what I thought. I really have to check the notes. We have to play that back.
No, yeah.
I want Homer and Ryan. Okay,
we've had closed captioning, don't we?
Who's O'Brien? Who's O'Brien and who's Bashir?
I think that we should do a mix and match. Like somebody has, Chief's bottom with Julian's top. Julian's top.
Oh God,
no.
Julian's
outfit is what makes
it will be a transporter accident.
God,
no, you need the whole outfit.
Like too big meets,
I got
thresholds, meets like we're just no.
So but we do need more transporter accidents.
We do.
So we can have Homer and Ryan be Bashir and O'Brien, and then Rock needs to come in a baseball uniform.
By the way, when you're zipping that up, Ryan, you can only go up in the back like halfway, and then somebody else has to do the other half.
I know, gosh.
Suck it in, my friend.
That's the one thing that I'm afraid of. Is if we do wear these like leotard things, is going to the bathroom because we're gonna have to like strip everything off.
That's your biggest.
I'm gonna do one lap. It's one lap. One lap. That's it. That's all you get around the entire Rio, and that's it.
Don't drink anything.
No.
Amazing. It's good to have some rules.
Boundaries, baby. It's all good. Well, because we got the Borg thing, so I got to get the Borg thing together.
That's amazing. Yeah. Ooh, I can't wait to see that. I love people.
Oh, it's gonna be badass.
No, Brian had a headband. Who's got Homer? You got the headband?
Yeah,
not anymore.
White guy.
I haven't played basketball in a while. I can look for one. I have one from grade school.
Yeah.
Hey Rex, if you were going to cosplay someone on Deep Space Nine, who would it be?
It's got to be an embarrassing sports related one, though.
I would love to do
I think that's Quark.
But
I think he said Quark. Kalis.
They would look at it and go, they don't make Ferengis. I would cosplay Odo. I really think that would, because he's kind of skinny and tall, and that would be one.
Somebody's got to be Morn.
I guess.
Yeah, Cirroc was saying he's going to open up a shoe store and call it Kayla's Shoe Source.
Yeah, that's
Someone's
that's
got to
not what I
cosplay
said.
as Morn.
I did not
never
say that.
invite Eric to the.
Of course you didn't.
I did not say that.
Ryan loves to put a lot of words in
and
your
then
mouth.
we just have to say shut up Morn all the time.
We need a Morn.
Shut up Morn.
We need a Morn.
Yeah, Morn. Yeah.
Maybe we can bring Eric because he never gets invited.
What Neil Diamond song has Morn's name in it in the title?
Whoa.
But is it like legitimately Morn's name, or are you just playing on words?
He goes, there's a song called September Morn.
Oh, geez.
Rex knows it.
Yes, I do. Yep.
That's your best one today.
Yeah.
That was the best one?
Yeah.
I know. His dad jokes are a little off right now.
And I'm just going to say it. Wow.
Wow.
It's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song.
It is.
I'm closing the hat, Ryan.
That's excellent knowledge, Kat.
I had no idea.
I just watched it, so it's very fresh.
Oh, Rex.
Kat is referencing a movie called Fifth Passenger, directed by Mr. Scott Baker. I co-produced it, acted in it. We also had Tim Russ, Marina Sirtis, a fellow by the name of Armin Shimmerman, Manu Terrain.
Yeah, that guy.
Really? Then the Fifth Element?
The Fifth Element. Yeah. Bruce Willis was in that movie.
Bruce Willis and Chris Tucker?
The bar has been raised.
Hey, that's...
You know what? I watched that a couple weekends ago.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I watched it.
It's a good movie.
So, Rex...
I was upset because Armin gets killed. I was upset about that.
Fifth
Rex,
Passenger, yeah.
No spoilers. Before we go, Rex and Homer, we're going to have a competition between the two of them for the best Chris Tucker impression. We'll start with Homer.
Chris Tucker.
I don't
know if I can do Chris.
This is a mistake. Go ahead.
I'm trying to. I can picture him. I certainly don't have the do. But I don't remember any of the dialogue that he had in.
Oh my gosh, he does a lot of screaming. He's just.
What about you, Rex?
That's what I was thinking of.
It doesn't have to be
Big eye.
Friday. Right?
Sorry,
You could be like, man, you got to be a stupid motherfucker to get fired on your day off.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
It could be from Friday.
Well, there we go.
You got to remember, I'm still in public, so I can't.
Yeah.
Like Omaha, Nebraska, no less.
He's at Walmart in Omaha, and he's going to be screaming.
You just whip out your Chris Tucker impression in the middle of Omaha.
And I'm standing in the middle of a Lowe's, so that's not good.
Yeah. Don't do it, Rex. Don't do it, Rex. You get arrested, man. Don't scream out any Chris Tucker at Lowe's in Omaha.
It's not worth it.
Especially here.
It's not worth it.
Especially here.
Yeah, don't scream it out.
Nope.
Well, I think we all learned something today.
The more you know.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Cirroc do the face in Ryan's background. That's what I want to see.
Was it?
Show us your
bored with
background.
Okay, wait.
Oh, wait.
There's that.
There we go.
I think it's one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. That's Matt.
I'm going to make him an offer you can't refuse. That's right.
That looked more like a Tony Montana.
Forget about it.
Face number 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cute. I love
There
it.
you go.
He's thinking, is this a self-sealing symbol?
Yeah, right. Just looking at a self-sealing symbol. There you go.
Needs
Or
more
is it
thorium
a
grease.
self-sealing symbol?
Needs more thorium.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thorium grease.
So my question is how do you seal a symbol if they're not self-sealing? Anybody know?
Oh, I anticipate that it's like a derma, one of those derma bond things they use.
Thermobonder laser thing?
Use your imagination.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's where you're putting the stem bolt, and that will drive the sealant that you would use.
I can look maybe on one of the shelves at Lowe's and find something.
I I mean, if O'Brien doesn't know, then none of us.
Sally sells stealing stem bolts by the seashore. Yeah.
Stealing.
Say that 3 times.
Sally sells stealing
I
stem
wish
bolts
we
by the
had
seashore.
time.
I'm going to decline that just like
I
Chris
can't
Tucker.
even see Sally correctly.
Sally sells
Sally.
stealing stem bolts by the seashore.
Silly.
I can do it as Mr. T, maybe, but not.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
That's
Pity
okay.
the fool.
Mr. T is kosher in Omaha. They don't
I
like
can't.
Chris Tucker.
Pitiful.
I can't. I pity
I
the
pity
fool
the
that
fool.
can't steal his thimble. I pity him.
All right, that'll do.
Pretty good.
That'll do.
That was solid.
That was legit.
All right, we better go, guys. But
Yeah.
We'll end it on the superstar Mr. T impression. Good work, Rex.
Yeah.
Great job, everybody.
He's
Thank you
getting
for joining
escorted
us.
out of the store now.
They come now. They're like, what is this?
Sir, can you come with
Give me a
us?
minute.
Video
One
production.
minute. One
The
minute.
SWAT team is assembled.
One minute.
They
That's
are.
the card.
Excuse
Sir,
me.
please,
The card.
please put those bolts down, sir.
Put those stem bolts down. Put those stem bolts down.
Please put them back away from the stem bolts, sir.
That's right. I should go ask next time I'm in a store. I got to go ask. We'll go to the tool section and ask the hardware if they've got any stem bolts.
Yeah.
See if they know what a stem bolt is.
Yeah.
Please
Good luck
do
with
it.
that.
Please
Yeah.
do
Good luck
it,
with that.
record it. That's awesome.
We'll move on to next week. It'll be transparent aluminum.
You find
There you
that,
go.
I'll find the Cardassian bowl. We'll both
There you go.
we'll see who can find it first.
What
There
is
you
it?
go.
What are we looking for? Cardassian what?
Cardassian bowls.
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 Yeah.
the
Oh,
bowls.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like
Have you ever seen one of those sell at a convention?
No.
No.
No, I haven't seen a
Oh,
bowl.
they
or-
should.
Wait,
that's gonna be at your
Somebody has it.
That's at
Somebody
your
has
booth.
that prop. I know somebody has that prop in their collection. One of
Oh,
these days they're gonna off it.
That should be your
Those are
booth.
everywhere.
the triples. Oh yes.
Triples are
They do
everywhere.
get
Bowls
around.
are hard.
Yeah.
Bowls and time crystals are hard to find.
Time crystals aren't so tough.
Time crystals
no.
tend to go missing.
Yeah.
But the bowls.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna set up a table in
Mwah.
Las Vegas
Bye,
and sell
guys.
self-stealing stem bolts. That's all.
There you go.
Get your self-stealing stem
Gonna
bolts
pedal
here.
some, get some license going from CBS to sell some.
Probably get rich. You know, that's what you
Yes.
do to make your money for Las Vegas. It's actually
Yeah.
sell stem bolts.
I know.
Who knew?
That's what I gotta do. Just start selling them online. Self-stealing stem bolts. I
Yeah.
gotta figure
Who
out
knew?
what that's gonna look like.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Okay, that's it. We're gonna. Me and Rex are gonna brainstorm later and figure out what that will look like, and then I'll sell them at Etsy. Right?
There we go. And you know,
Bedazzled.
they'll buy
Or trade them up.
Yeah.
They'll buy them.
All right, I gotta get back to working out for my cosplay now.
They will buy them.
Oh, okay. Oh, get ready.
I
for
know,
that.
right? Like I gotta like start like a.
I'm strictly
90
salads
days
and like
detox.
salads and cheese.
I don't think I
Ready.
have a cosplay yet, so I don't have to work out yet.
Oh.
You're going to be
Yeah.
Bashir.
No, then I really have to work out.
Yeah.
No.
All right, we got
What a
to go,
compliment.
guys.
Okay.
You can keep talking, but I'm going to stop recording. In 5, 4, 3.
All right.
Always remember the
All right,
7th
good.
rule.